Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining us for the first time, I salute you and appreciate your time as always. You know, here we talk geostrategic engagement, how Africa navigate these complex partnerships that it finds itself globally. It is important that we continue to lay Africa's own case from the strategic point of view as the continent of Africa continue to make significant inroad in a whole lot of other issues regards to global conflict. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because each time you log in to watch our videos, I will encourage you to smash the like button and share so we grow this community and to ensure that Africa's own perspective from the strategic collaboration is being furthered. In the past, the continent of Africa was criticized that it's not able to take initiative diplomatically to engage strategic conflicts and issues around the world. The country of Kenya once led the delegation in terms of security to the country of Haiti. They make some significant contribution there, but some other experts will tell you to an extent of which major countries were not able to make such a particular move to the country of Haiti. But Kenya have never got that particular recognition that it deserved. Go back to the Russian-Ukrainian war. The country of South Africa, during the heart of the pandemic, led an African delegation to Russia and Ukraine to talk about peace. We all knew how the United States of America once said the Russian-Ukrainian conflict can be resolved in 24 hours. Now we all know how that conflict has turned out to be. Strategic partnership is something that the continent of Africa will continue to engage its partners from a whole lot of areas. We've seen some unforgiving partners, how they have engaged the continent of Africa, not from the strategic win-win partnership, but from the partnership for exploitation. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the leader of the country of Kenya, you may not agree with them, you may not perceive their own particular collaborative aspect on why they continue to stick their nose out there talking about Africa's own events. The conflict in the country of Sudan is the most abandoned conflict in the continent of Africa that goes alongside other African events that are taking place at the moment. However, the former ambassador of the United States of America at the United Nations, Mrs. Greenfield, once said the conflicts across the continent of Africa are very immaterial, are at the lower end of the United States of America's own strategic focus. And more importantly, the situation in Sudan is not looking that good. When South Africa led the African delegation, they were lambasted that they have their own events in the continent of Africa, a number of wars going on, and they could not solve them. But the country of Kenya showed leadership to one extent to engage the country of Sudan. Irrespective of how you're going to be looking at it, we've seen a number of threats coming from the United States of America's own senator who have warned Kenya and questioned Kenya's own position on why Kenya should be involved with regards to one of the factions of the country of Sudan. This does not sit well from the geopolitical perspective. We have a number of players from the Middle East and across globally who are involved with regards to the situation in Sudan. Sudan are paying their own price in a whole lot of areas. We go to the United Nations on a daily basis to hear about the Sudan situation. So if an African country now go closer to one of their factions, so-called factions, they are being questioned. The country of Kenya's leader in a wide-ranging interview defend Kenya's own position, and that's what I expect to see an African president step out and make their own point heard, whether the United States of America or other geopolitical partners like it or not. This is how African leaders must be speaking when they are confronted with the global issues. It's important to know that the same country of Sudan, one of the factions, met with the president of the country of Turkey. The United States of America never sent a threatening letter to the country of Turkey. This is the double standard in terms of the geostrategic engagement. In that particular interview, the good journalist from Aljazeera pinpointed and tried to pin down the president of Kenya. He stood up his grounds and makes Kenya's position clear. He went ahead to explore the reason why Kenya, like any other country, is free to navigate, to interact, to collaborate, to speak with whoever is necessary in terms of the situation happening in their backyard. For Kenya to engage like other nations that have been talking to the different factions in the region and been considered to be doing something different according to the United States of America senator, I think that is deplorable. Mr. Ruto stood his grounds based on the question that came from James Bays from Aljazeera. This is what he has to say, because the situation in the country of Sudan is dire. Let's play this clip.
The most deadly war right now on the continent is the war in Sudan, and you know that the Sudanese army claim that your country is supporting the other side, the rapid support forces. I mean, you had a meeting in February with the RSF and some of its allies. They signed a declaration to create a parallel government. The RSF recently took Al-Fasher in Darfur in Western Sudan, and the UN says there were summary executions, there were murders, there were rapes. Are you worried Kenya's going to be seen to be on the wrong side of history here?
Not at all. Kenya is a great democratic country. We are the only place in East and Central Africa where people can come and meet freely from every part of the world. And the meeting that was there in Kenya was a meeting of the civil society, meeting of church groups, meeting of Muslim leaders, meeting of women. And they were having a conversation about their country in Sudan. Such meetings have been held in Tripoli, such meetings have been held in Addis.
But there are also allegations that you're involved in getting arms to the RSF. The Sudanese army says you're involved with the UAE and you're shipping arms to them.
That is absolutely false. I can tell you for a fact that Kenya, being a democratic country, we're often accused. DRC accused us, or you were in, there were people meeting in Nairobi. There are people meeting in Nairobi. Sometimes I don't even know they are meeting in Nairobi, because we are a free and democratic country. We do not ban people from coming to Nairobi. We just deal with criminals. But people who are chasing civil liberties, people who are looking for space to express themselves, we have close to 1,000 journalists in Nairobi, including Aljazeera, right? So that's the only place people can find space to speak about their issues. And to Sudan, I hold the position that both RSF and SAF are cut from the same cloth. They are a product of an overthrow of a people's government. And therefore, you cannot say anything different between SAF and RSF. And by the way, my position is that these two generals have no solution for Sudan, because both of them believe in solving a problem using military means, which is not a security problem. This is a governance problem.
Talking about Kenya's own contribution to the country of Haiti, Kenya was once criticized as the country that is chewing too much, is punching above its weight. But more importantly, despite that, the country of Kenya never received the extensive support that it needed to tackle the situation in Haiti. Haiti has been abandoned. No rich nation, no particular heavyweight in terms of military power has ever attempted to go to Haiti to try to resolve the issue. The Haitian people have been left alone to battle their own particular situation. And an African nation, very bold enough, stood up to the plate and spoke at the United Nations to lead a delegation that was being perceived and being criticized globally. But Kenya, to an extent, despite not achieving a 100% security in the country of Haiti, they made some significant contribution. In this wide-ranging interview, the president of Kenya was pressed with regards to their effort in the country of Haiti. He came out clear without hesitation and said there have been some tremendous progress that the country of Kenya made during their time in the country of Haiti. He went ahead and said this.
Mr. President, we focused on what's been going on the continent in this interview, but it would be wrong, I think, for me not to divert to another part of the world where Kenya got involved, took, I think, quite a brave decision to get involved in Haiti, where the gangs are out of control, and despite your involvement, really, nothing has changed. What went wrong there? Did you not get enough support from other countries, particularly the US and Canada?
To say nothing has changed is not correct. I think if you speak to the Haitian people, if you speak to the government in Haiti, they will tell you many significant things have happened. Today, their port city is working. It was not working. Today, many schools have opened. They were closed. Today, the palace was not accessible. They operate from the palace. The police academy had been taken over by gangs. Today, they are training police in that academy. So there is demonstrable progress. Have we done everything that we should? No.
Did you have everything you needed?
We did not have everything we needed. And that's the point. We didn't get the kind of support that we thought we would get, that we were promised. And that is why I did raise this matter at the UN. I did write to the chairperson of the UN. And I did make my position very clear that unless we demonstrate international solidarity, provide the resources, provide the force multipliers, provide the equipment and vehicles, and make sure that there are enough boots on the ground, we wouldn't be able to solve this problem. I had a meeting with the president of Haiti, who was present here in Qatar, and we discussed an array of things. I spoke to the commander in Haiti, and he's very upbeat. We are, however, waiting to see the next steps.
Mr. Ruto, considering the United States of America's relationship with the country of Kenya, that has never gone unnoticed. The United States of America regards to its soft power in the continent of Africa. The leader of Kenya went ahead to talk on the reason why the United States is losing focus in an awful lot of areas with regards to its support in the continent of Africa. Make no mistake, Kenya was once considered the darling of the United States of America, and the former leader, Mr. Joe Biden, rolled out the red carpet and gave a state dinner for one of Africa's own president. That has never happened before. If that has happened, then you correct me in the comment section. However, more importantly, that relationship was looking so cozy, but events changed overnight, considering the United States of America's leadership at the moment has questioned Kenya's engagement with the country of China. The question here, like the great Nelson Mandela once said, your enemy should not be my enemy. Considering the current challenges that the country of Kenya is facing, more importantly, Kenya is trying to diversify its relationship at the moment, and considering that Kenya cannot go closer to the country of China, I think that is unforgivable. The leader of the country of Kenya went ahead to explore the reason why the United States of America slashing its support in the continent of Africa, and some nations talking about its contribution to global institutions is going to be a big mistake. Let's play this clip.
Of those issues on the African continent, moving to the Democratic Republic of Congo, you mentioned the US. President Trump claims it was one of the 8 wars he's ended in 8 months. It's not over though, is it? There was a deal and it's not really gone any further. How worried are you that that is not actually an end to the conflict?
There is a good attempt, both by regional countries like East African Community, which I chair, and SADC. There is a very good progress that has been made under the leadership of the US, Qatar, and other partners. And at least there is progress. As to whether the war has ended, it has not. But there is demonstrable progress towards resolving that issue. And so is the case in Somalia, and so is the case in Sudan, and all the other hotspots in our continent.
And of course, the effects of the war in DRC are felt around the region and in Kenya, and you also have refugees from other countries, and yet the US has cut its humanitarian funding. The US and other countries have cut their funding to the United Nations. How is that affecting your efforts to help refugees who are sheltering in Kenya? There have even been some reports that in some of the camps, some people at some points have been close to starvation.
Well, there is serious, I must admit, there is a serious effect on the cutback by countries on funding the UN and UN operations that is affecting the global community, from health to refugees to peacekeeping efforts in Somalia, you know, the refugee situation in Kenya, the peace situation in DRC. There is real effect. And this is not the time to recede on international solidarity, as is happening.
Well, so would you like the US to think again, particularly with regard to Kenya? You're a close ally. Would you like more support from the US administration?
I think the US should reassess. It's not for me to decide for the US, I think, but it is for us to urge the US and the international community to think about international solidarity, being able to be there for the refugees, being there for the people who are at war, being there for the children who are affected by all these wars, from DRC to Somalia to Gaza to Ukraine and all the other places. So I think there is merit in the international community, the United States and all the other partners, to work together and to look at it in a much more positive way, that these are wars that are affecting humanity. These are wars that could be dealt with if there was greater, not less, international solidarity. And therefore, that would be very instructive and useful if there was a better thinking, a different way of approaching this. I think cutting funding abruptly does not give the right signals to international solidarity.
On a wide-ranging interview considering the situation in the country of Kenya, talking about democracy, explaining the challenges regards to the strike and the demonstration in the country of Kenya. Of course, you may not agree with what the president is about to say, but again, more importantly, explore the issues and talk on the reason why. There is a tremendous challenges that is going on at the moment, and he spoke about his own particular record. Make no mistake, African nations are experiencing difficulties regards to the so-called democracy, as we've seen what's happening in the country of Tanzania. Do you call that democracy at the moment? How embarrassing is that? The leader of the country of Kenya, despite struggling to answer this particular question, stood his grounds and made it clear where he thinks that his own position is, talking about the heavy force that was being used in the country of Kenya. Let me know in the comment section what you think with regards to Africa's own global contribution and why the continent of Africa at this stage. This whole situation put a total zoom to the regional organization called the African Union that most experts will say hasn't made significant contribution in tackling Africa's own particular conflicts that are happening in the region. More importantly, let me know if you think Africa should step up to the plate and take full responsibility of its own internal challenges and conflicts. I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Smash the like button and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Mr. President, you've now been in power for 3 years. We've talked about the protests, we've talked about the police response. The next election's less than 2 years away in 2027. Is democracy in Kenya safe in your hands?
Absolutely. Democracy in Kenya is not about a person, it's not about the president, it's about the people. The people of Kenya are Democrats. Their DNA is democratic, and therefore not the president, not anybody can stop Kenya from being a democratic country.